Good afternoon, everybody. Keith here again. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, and loving life. I come to you again today for a second video, so feel lucky. But please make sure you share this one. Because I was watching some videos in between my last video that I did earlier today and the Zoom that we're going to be on here in about an hour on lawful living. I'm going to push that. Check out Lawful Living. We do Zooms every Tuesdays and Thursdays from 2 p.m. Central Standard Time to about 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, going over all these issues and how to write notices. That's all we're doing. We're writing notices and getting successes. So anyway, I'm watching this video and I'm thinking about the context, because I love watching these First Amendment auditors, not for giving them compliments or anything, but to learn my own discretion on what's really happening as a third-party objective view. And so when I'm watching these, and almost every last one of them comes down to, well, what's your name? What's your last name? Give me your ID. You know, they always have to have that. Always. Without that, they can't have anything. They can't get to a warrant wherein they can describe the person, place, or thing to be seized. So it all starts out with that identification. And every time they ask for that name and stuff, people are still giving them some kind of ID or something. And I've told you many times, from now on, when they ask me for an ID, I can't give them anything. If I give them anything, I'm going to show them that bicycle driver's license. And let them know that if you want to play games, I can be just as funny. But if you want to get down to the real seriousness of it, and then they turn around, well, what's your name? And I tell them, sorry, I don't have a name. See, my name isn't on that. So I don't have a name, no matter what you want to call me. Reason and logic, folks. If I have no documentation with that name on it, with the exception of one, a banking instrument constructed in trust on the international level, not associated with the Social Security number. Not mine, anyway. So we see we have a Bancorp of America and PayPal in a trust agreement as assignees and successor assignees to an international banking monopoly as the grantee. Those are reliable parties now. And that's a title. And this is the only record I have of that title, referring all other records to PayPal and Bancorp, the holders of that record. I am only the user of the name and number. The holder of the record is liable, whereas the one giving the signature is not liable for the person named in the instrument. Get it? So that signature shows that as holder of that instrument, I'm not liable for the person named in the instrument. So even if I did have a license, the name, the signature on the instrument shows that I am not liable for the person named in the instrument. This is the stupidity of an ID. particularly one that has a face on it. Guarantee you, if they ever try to arrest me, they will take that. They will take that and use that as identification. The error in that identification is that they will say it applies to me. Can't happen. So I was watching this video, and again, like I said, it was an interesting video because it came down to the qualification of needing an ID for pulling someone over and detaining them on a suspicious activity when there is no crime. You can't just claim somebody else said that they're in fear because you look suspicious because they don't recognize you, and therefore now you have to they called somebody else to come identify you so that they could then cognize you for further recognition later on. It's all a process. And if you don't cognize me first and foremost, before you cognize the importance of a card, the importance of a card, then you are the one that proves to be the idiot. Now, I'm hopefully going to show you in these codes and stuff how the requirement of any kind of ID is pure stupidity. Because like I just said, UCC 3-402 talks about that signature and how the person making the signature on the instrument when they're authorized is not therefore liable for the person in the instrument. Why is this? It's showing that there's a displacement of liability that can't extend any further to you. You're the one that's authorized to sign for the receiving of the assets as the beneficiary. And that instrument proves they are both operating as co-trustees in an international trust based on weights and measures of a monetary system granted through the Universal Postal Union Constitution and the Treaty of Berne, Law of Nations, the UN, Vienna Conventions, Geneva Conventions, the UCC Uniform Customs Codes. That's Her Majesty's. That's the one that's next to the Treaty of Berne. That's the tax treaty that all the other 560-some sub-treaties are under, such as NAFTA, which is Organization of American States, OAS. You think you're an American? Think again. Think again. You've been named, and you qualify as an American by saying you're an American. I'm one of the children of Israel, in the surname of Israel, house of Judah. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. So if you name anything, name that first. And when you figure out that name, you come let me know. Because as far as I know, the greatest theologists throughout the world don't know it yet. So let's get on with it. Okay. This is the video I'm talking about, and I'll drop this link in there. It says, Police Officer Mark Zatzkin is a dangerous cop on the streets. And it says there's a link in the description of Officer Zatzkin's police disciplinary record, so you get to see that too. But we're going to start out with 5 CFR 1630.7, identification requirements, and this is under administrative personnel. Okay? First code, they talk about identification requirements. In person. He's a respecter of no persons. If you can't identify me by an image and likeness, then fuck you. You try to identify me in person, you can't do so. You're going to identify the person, and that person is not me. I am the authorized representative who placed the signature on the instrument, thereby proving I am not liable for the person named in the instrument. In person. An individual should be prepared to identify himself or herself by signature. So again, I say, if I'm not liable for the signature, then no one else is liable for the signature. The signature is the commercial aspect, totally, without bounds. Every time you sign, you are signing in a commercial capacity. Period. You want to use cursive and sign? Then you keep doing so. Otherwise, you place marks, and each stroke is a mark. Time and order, people. So let's look at the next one. Oh, and again, like I said, that signature is always in writing. Always. So even each stroke could be taken as a signature, whereas if you use that, even like I say, reverently, full colon stop, chaplain, hyphen, Keith, full colon stop, I would have to be able to explain it so that they could comprehend it. And that would be done in concise English, plain writing, college composition. And any English major would agree with that. That would be a correct presentment of character outside of person. A participant shall provide his or her name, date of birth, and account number, or social security number, and shall sign the request. This is specific writing, folks. Plain writing. It says sign the request. Anytime they hand you a document to sign, they are making a request that you grant an acquisition. If you are not qualified to grant such an acquisition, you are not qualified to sign. What is the acquisition you are requesting? Because if it comes with a cost, then you are requesting in the wrong manner to freely give what was given freely. It does not need to be done in writing. Perhaps you want to write little love notes. I prefer to see the action. The next one is domestic security. That one was administrative personnel. The next is domestic security. Real ID, driver license, and identification cards. Domestic to the administrative personnel. Get it? Food and drugs, the health and safety. Department of Health and Human Services. Social Security Administration. An individual means a natural living person outside of commercial aspects who is a citizen of the United States. Oops! Is that babble? A natural living person who is a citizen of the United States means you must have been born in the United States, which is located in Washington, D.C. As I said in my video earlier, is Washington, D.C. a state, or are they stateless? Remember, we've discussed here recently in the past year or two about them wanting to become known as Douglas County. They wanted to change and become stated as Douglas County instead of District of Columbia, and that was not passed. They are still stateless. So if you're a citizen of the United States, are you stateless or are you a stated person as a citizen of the United States? Let's go back here. Are you in person or is the person in you? In yourself? Is the person the embodiment of you or you the embodiment of your person? Did you let that little bastard out? Did he run around and ruin your good name? Did you wantonly sign every document every time in your life and allow that request for an acquisition to be made? And then cry because they took something from you? Money and finance. Money and finance. Before concluding any transaction with respect to which a report is required, filing obligations for reports of transactions in currency. Every time they want some kind of transaction in currency. What is a transaction in currency? It is the movement of assets in any form that they abstracted originally. The original birth abstract. So, the next one is the aggregation. Aggregate, combining of two. That's the bifurcation and hypothecation. Transactions of exempt persons. General, no bank is required to file a report otherwise required by 10.10.311 with respect to any transaction in currency between an exempt person and such a bank. All those deposits, they're not required. Or to the extent provided in paragraph E6 of this section between such exempt person and other banks affiliated with such bank. A limitation on the exemption described in this paragraph A is set forth in paragraph F. Documentation. The records maintained by a bank to document its compliance. Certificate of compliance with an administration of the rules in person of this section shall be maintained in accordance with the provisions of 10.10.430. Nature of records and retention period. As long as they hold that record, the nature of that record will be in person. You correct that record by removal of the data elements, and they have no nature. They only have a material existence of certain data elements that would point to the existence of something in nature. That would be under the physical protection of plants and materials. How would that be so? 7. USC 136. Definitions. Title 7. Commodity exchanges. This is agriculture. They changed the titles. They don't want to tell you what they are anymore. And this is actually Title VII, agriculture. And deals with commodity exchanges, cotton standards, da-da-da-da. Under Title 7, U.S. Code 136, definitions. Animal. The term animal means all vertebrate and invertebrate species, including but not limited to man. One question, people. Can you identify me as a man? And if so, how? See, everybody asks for proof of your identity. I want to know you're Keith Little. I'm telling you, I'm not Keith Little. That's what somebody else called me. And that's what the record poses. I'm telling you, I'm your brother. I've told you many times. Your brothers are my brothers. Your sisters are my sisters. My sisters are your sisters. My brothers are your brothers. My mom and dad, they're your mom and dad, even though they disown me. Your mom and dad, they're my mom and dad, even if they disowned you. See, I'm not here to destroy the law. I'm here to fulfill it, and that means to love my neighbor as myself. That's my duty. So whether you love me or not, I don't give a fuck. Whether you can identify me or not, that makes a difference. Because it's how we identify each other. I hope this made a point. You know, I hope you comprehend what's going on here. The only time they can ask for an ID is in person. So when they ask for a crime, and it takes a crime in order for them to be able to get an ID and not merely just a suspicion, that there actually has to be a crime that tells you that there is nothing that they consider criminal that wouldn't be in person. Everything in person is crime. All crime is commercial. This is why we see that. This is why we tell you all crime is commercial. And all commerce is crime. You're taking advantage of your fellow man in person. And you don't even know what a person is, most likely. Little bastard's been running all... And a lot of people still want to send that little bastard out there. If a man is bound by his word, then why does he need to write it down? That's bonding his word to a piece of paper so somebody else can comprehend it in a different form. If you can't comprehend my love in my form, then I don't know what to tell you. I certainly can't write it down for you. That's not going to help me explain it. As far as I'm concerned, actions speak louder than words, so I just got to walk away and show you. This is reason and logic to me, and I'm sorry if it confuses anybody, and I'm sorry if it angers anybody to think that maybe I don't love you, but that would be a false implication. I love everybody. The concept here, though, is that I don't give a fuck whether you love me or not. I don't give a fuck if you're a judge sitting there trying to throw me in jail. I'm going to put the truth to the record. That's what I'm going to do. So when you lock me up, again, like I did last time, I'm going to walk in there with the Constitution. You're going to provide the fucking Bible. Now we're gonna walk in Congress. Now we're gonna walk together in Congress. Now I'm gonna walk with the other inmates and I'm gonna Congress with them. And they're gonna learn. And you're gonna learn to quit locking me up because my potential to teach people is better out here. And again, people, I'm not here to try to lead you. I don't want you following. I ain't following anybody else. And that's the concept. I want you to walk with me in Congress. Footprints in the sand. That's why I say, if you see only one set of footprints, you better beware. If you see two, hey, I'm with him. If you see more than that, we're going to party. And it's all because of love. Get rid of the internal conflict and learn how to identify yourself. They can't identify yourself. Know thyself. Heal thyself. This is what healthy is, and it's knowledge. Know thyself, not knowledge. You want knowledge? Act now. Gain from that experience. And that's what makes one wise to doing something different next time, and not sitting in a cognitive dissonance of fear of change, and not being able to expect what's to come. Will I get paid tomorrow? Did you really get paid? Or were you taken advantage of? Is there something better for you? See, the true benefit, like I said before, is knowledge. It's not the material wealth. It's not the plants and materials. It's not the substance. It's the knowledge that allows us to use that substance freely and give it freely as it was given freely, so that there is no expense. So think about all this stuff and realize if you're going to be an animal, let them know. Let them know that they provide physical protection of plants and materials. And again, I'll drop all these links. In the meantime, God bless. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this. Learn to know thyself. Have a good day.